The Tom Sawyer Show is brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. Their happy hour is Sundays through Thursdays, 3 to 7 p.m. Check out our Facebook page for details. Authentic and delicious El Patron. And welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show for this week. Glad that you could join us. Justin Barrientos alongside with Coach Tom Sawyer. And congratulations on a good first week, a 68-0 win over Minnesota Crookston. We'll get into all the details on that, but I know as coaches, there's always something that you can find that you can work on or something that you need to improve on. So let's get the negative out of the way first and talk about what are some of the things that you saw in that win that you need to work on for this week against Minnesota Duluth.
Well, we put the ball on the deck. We turned it over once. You just can't fumble the football. And Patrick Bauman, he's a redshirt freshman kid, and we didn't get one kid blocked, and the kid showed up in the hole. And so there's a lot of pieces to that of why that happened, but that just can't happen. Big games in your own scoring zone, that can kill you. But otherwise, I thought the overall work of our kids was excellent. It really was. They were focused all the way through. To have all those young kids, and we still had a bunch of mistakes, but we played I think we played everybody that was dressed, and so they all had an opportunity to get out there, show their stuff, enjoy part of the game day experience, especially, quite a few freshmen and or redshirt freshmen that we had on the field for the first time.
It seemed like the tide really turned when you had the field goal block. Up to that point, were you a little unsure about how your team came out during the game?
No, I wasn't unsure about it. They made a couple plays. They got Division II scholarship athletes too, and so I knew that they could move the football. They did it, last year a few times too, and when Jarrett Wood came through and blocked that field goal, and Andrew scooped it up and took off with it. It wasn't really a sigh of relief. It was just like, okay, we got them stopped. It was like either that or we go down 3-0 and get to work. But there wasn't any panic. There wasn't any concern about it. We just wanted to get the drive stopped and get off the field, and no matter where that happens, it's a good thing.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the game as we talk about this. Defensively, it was really impressive that you held Crookston to 6 yards rushing on the ground, and I think like 95 overall, something like that. What can you say about your defense and how they played?
Well, the first series you talk about was most of their yardage, and I think our guys played inspired. Our pressure package was good. I thought that our coaches did a good job in preparation for what we saw. We tackled not as well as I thought. There was a couple missed tackles in that first drive, but as the game went on, we became more and more sure of ourselves. I thought the secondary played well, knocked down some balls, and we got great pressure on the quarterback. So, what we were after, we saw, and now we got to do it at a higher level this week. But I was really pleased with the way that our defense played.
Okay. Then special teams. Obviously, you had, like you said, the field goal block. You had Jake, who's, I believe, Special Teams Player of the Week in the NSIC, setting a school record in punt return yardage. Were you a little surprised on that he had such a great breakout in his first game?
I didn't know I don't think it was a surprise, but I was kind of wondering what was going to happen because I've seen him do it in high school, and he was a great punt returner in high school. That's one of the number one reasons why we brought him here. Fast kid that makes people miss, and he sat out all of last year with an injury, so we really didn't know until he actually got out there. So, we saw it in practice a little bit, but I was just happy for him. It was a great way to start after having to sit a whole year with an injury. Comes back, and obviously Player of the Week and all that, but he's explosive, and that'll change the way people kick the ball to us.
When did you find out that it was a school record, and did you get to tell him, or did he find out some other way?
Well, the first person we told was Alan May, because he's on my coaching staff now, and Alan was a great punt returner, a 4-year punt returner for us. So, I said on the headphones, because Alan was on the phones, I said, Alan, who? Anybody ever heard of this guy? And he goes, Coach, that hurts. But, just another great, you either can punt return or you can't. You can't make a guy into being a punt return guy, because you have to be fearless, you have to have great hands, and you have to have some speed. And Alan May did that. But no, I didn't know it was a record until the next day. I really didn't. I had no idea until we saw it in the paper and saw the replay. But I'm excited for Jake.
So is the bar set high now? He's got to do this every week?
He's got to catch football. The rest will take care of it. When we break one, every week would sure be nice. But, I hope that he gets a lot of attempts. That means we're getting off the field.
All right, let's talk about the offense a little bit then, because you had a career high for Cameron Johnson in yardage. Paul Preston ran for 120-plus yards. Talk about that first unit of offense and what you thought of them in their first game.
Well, we know we have players. We got to make explosive plays, and we talk about explosive plays being 20 yards or more, and we had quite a few of those. And that's what we expect. That's what we have to do each week. I thought Jack Nelson threw the ball extraordinarily well. Didn't play a lot and didn't throw it a lot because we didn't have to. But Paul Preston, he's healthy, and he's a guy that can change the tempo of the game in a hurry, like he did on the Statue of Liberty play, and scored a touchdown. But overall, I think that he and Eric Berth and Jordan Koss, all three ran the ball well. Nick Margiata playing tight end, he made a couple big catches and a touchdown. And then Cam Johnson and Jack Nelson, just doing their thing. And so I'm excited for those guys. And we had a couple others that could have been touchdowns too. But overall, the Stars made the plays we expect them to make, and if we continue that, we can be pretty explosive.
And one of the hallmarks of your program and the way that Jack Nelson plays the game too is getting a lot of different guys the ball, so it's harder for the defense to try to figure out who to cover. Now, you had the luxury of being able to sit a lot of your starters in the second half. How much is that going to help them throughout the season, seeing as how they got action in the first game?
Well, I think it's huge. That game experience is more valuable than 100 practices. There's the tempo of the game. And I'll give you an example. Zach Holstead, missed all of last year, became our tight ends coach on the side last year. And to come back out, he doesn't practice much, and to come back out and actually get back into a game, the kid had tears in his eyes. It was awesome. And, that passion and that drive, and then to be able to do it again on the football field on game day, those are the guys you'll want to sit down and get off their legs and that. But, you really look at that game day experience going into the next one on the road when we got less players available. We got to be prepared for a more physical game, a tougher football game, of course. But nonetheless, it's still about performance.
Did anybody stand out to you in that second half where you saw some different players and saw what they could do once they got out on the field?
Yeah, I think that, one is, I'd probably say, at linebacker, Mitch Wozniak, a redshirt freshman kid, he was all over the place. He stood out. I think Romario Gale, a corner that played quite a bit. He's a tremendous athlete as a true freshman now. He did a nice job. And I think that another kid that stood out was another redshirt freshman and wide receiver, Itor Flood. He really played well. He's a big receiver from Cretin-Durham Hall that is a good athlete. And so that's just a few of the real young kids that got out and were kind of like, wow, there it is. They're getting ready to go, and that may put them on the bus this week.
What does the shutout mean to you? Because I think it was the first shutout since 2007. That was also a game against Minnesota Crookston. So it's been a while since we put a 0 on the board. Well,
it's a team. It's kind of like a team award. It really is, because our offense, kept the ball enough and reduced the amount of touches that Crookston had in the game. But the defense, especially in a blowout, it's a lot tougher than you think, because you're playing a lot of kids. You're out of sync. You're out of position sometimes, and they just brought 55. So they have all their starters in most of the game. So it's really a team effort when you get a shutout in a blowout like that. So I'm really proud of the guys. It's a great feather in the hat for our defensive staff and the defensive players especially, but all are part of that. And so we all take a little pride in getting a shutout.
All right, last question. You didn't have to punt until really late in the game. When you get into that situation, do you try to do some things to make sure that you don't have to send the punter out there, or is it just play your game regular?
No, we just play the game. Mike Russell did a great job for us as a true freshman last year. Windhawk out there again doing it, and he didn't hit a big one, but he flipped the field enough to put them down into their deep in their own end zone, or close to the end zone. So no, we just go by a regular game. Go out and punt the ball, first team, cover it, do what you got to do, and get good reps at it, because those, again, special teams reps are really important when you go into the next game when you might need it big time, like we did at Mankato last year.
Right. All right, we'll take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk defense. Austin Opfer will be our guest right after this. Get an inside look at the Winona State University football program with the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25, brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. Join me, Justin Barrientos, as I sit down with the Warrior head coach each week to break down last week's game and look ahead to WSU's next opponent, as well as chat with Winona State players. Tune in at 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, and before every Warrior home game for the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25, brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina.
There are conflicts being waged all around us, ones we can't see.
This was an active war, and it was an active war without there being a war.
As a national security reporter for Vice, my job is to track these digital battles.
I could probably be held indefinitely.
As a terrorist.
As a terrorist.
you think it was worth it?
Yeah. History was at stake.
Football night on HBC is back.
When it comes to high school football, no one has you covered like HBC.
Join HBC 25 Sports this fall as we travel to local high school football stadiums to bring you our game of the week.
And now it's brought to you in crystal clear HD.
To see the full schedule of games, log on to hbci.com/sports.
Catch all your local high school football action right here on HBC.
Brought to you by Lewiston Auto.
HBC Sports, your home for high school football.
I'm nervous. I'm getting shaky.
I'm kind of freaking out a little bit.
I can't believe you're going into this blind.
I just feel overwhelmed.
I'm marrying a complete stranger.
I haven't seen him ever.
Are you ready for this?
But I'm gonna get married. Maybe to the man of my dreams, maybe to the man that I'm gonna be with forever.
By the authority bestowed upon me, I proudly pronounce you.
This could be really, really, really bad. This is really hard.
The Tom Sawyer Show is brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. El Patron has the best Mexican food in town, authentic and delicious. El Patron. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. And Coach, time now to talk a little defense.
Well, we brought in Austin Opfer. Austin, thanks for being here. Of course, we got the Missouri connection going today, and we're excited about that. But right away, let's jump into last week. You played a tremendous ball game on that defense. Justin and I were talking about a little bit on how excited we were about our defensive play. But first of all, start out your first home game, and what's that like to you, and how'd that defense play?
Well, Winona State's been a part of me and my family for a long time, so it being my first home game, like you said, it's just really been, it's tough to say, it's really been, it was something that I just wanted to go out and leave something on the field that I could be proud of, no matter how the game ended up turning out, just, go out there and, parents watching and everyone that was there just wanted to do the best that I could and the best that we could as a defense.
The other question I have, just going into that, and I'll turn it back to Justin, but you switched numbers this year to 55, and why don't you tell the folks why you did that and how significant is that in the Opfer household?
Yeah, well, as many people know, my dad played for Winona State, and he was 55, and he graduated in '83, I believe it was, and so I wouldn't be here today without the help that he gave me and the guidance, so I thought, wearing that number my senior year would be a good way to honor that.
Does that give you any extra jolt when you put the jersey on and maybe you look in the mirror and you see the number and you think, oh, that's my dad too?
Yeah, it definitely has a much more important feeling putting it on, especially, we just got new jerseys, and when I put on that number, I'm like, no one has ever worn this before, and it's a great feeling to have. Plus, everyone on the sidelines was telling me I look much, much better in it, so.
Well, I was here in 1983, along with your father, and you are a much better looking football player, athlete, student athlete. Now your mom, also in our Hall of Fame, as both of your parents are, was another tremendous athlete here at Winona State. So with that, let's talk about that defense, man. You were all over the place. So was the rest of our linebacker core. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the biggest things, I kind of touched on it earlier, is Coach Barton, before we played the game, he said, no matter what happens, be proud of what you leave on film, and leave something to look back at, because once it's on film, it's there forever, and it's, there's no hiding from it. It's for everybody to see. So, go out there and just do your 111th. It's simplified in college. Everyone's got a job to do, and you do your job. And sometimes the ball carrier shows up in your alley, and sometimes he doesn't. But you still have to do your job nonetheless. And I think everyone did a good job of doing their 111th.
Do you have any team goals on defense this year? Because I'm pretty sure you matched at least all of them during Minnesota Crookston. We'll go through the numbers again. 91 total yards given up against Minnesota Crookston, so I gave them a couple extra in the first segment. Just 6 rushing yards, 2 of 15 on third down, 0 of 3 on fourth down. Mm-hmm. Did that match what you were expecting to do?
The one staple that we always have as a defense is to try and create 3 turnovers a game, because statistically you will win the game if you get 3 turnovers. And, aside from that, we just have 3 things that we always communicate. It's communicate, do your job, and ball disruptions. Those are the 3 things that Coach Barton, plants in our heads to bear in mind and to harp on, because, do those 3 things and do them well, you win.
That carries over into the special teams too, and I know you're a big part of that as well, which most defensive players are, especially in the back 7. But how does that mentality, the aggressive mentality that you guys displayed defensively, how did that transition over into the special teams play as well?
Well, as we have seen in the past, special teams, can win or lose you a football game. So with Coach Holinka, he always harps on us that, it's not a playoff, it's something that we need to harp on, and, it's very important, an important attribute to the ball game. So, all the defensive guys, make up a lot of the special teams, and just being aggressive at the point of attack and knowing that it can be another chance to turn the ball game around, So we try and keep that in the back of our minds when we take the field.
All right, we have to get to this because you were on the show last year and you let us know that your dad now works in video, and so there's infomercials that you've done. Did you do any more during the off season this past year?
Did I do any more? I may have worked on a few, but me personally, no. I was not in any that I can recall, at least.
The last question I have for you, Austin, is this: is that going into Duluth this week, big ball game. They were ranked in the top 20 top 25 last week, and coming off a loss. We go up there coming off a big win. What do the Warriors have to do to get after the Dogs next week?
Well, Duluth, I can speak from their offensive standpoint, just based on what we've seen. It's, they're a big run team. They've got a lot of great alignment, and they're, very talented on special teams as well. They're very well coached, just like we are. So it's really just going to come down to who can do the little things right and who wants to bring the aggression whenever the ball's snapped.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck at Duluth. All right. We'll take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk offense. Cameron Johnson will join us right after this.
Football night on HBC is back.
When it comes to high school football, no one has you covered like HBC.
Join HBC 25 Sports this fall as we travel to local high school football stadiums to bring you our game of the week.
And now it's brought to you in crystal clear HD.
To see the full schedule of games, log on to hbci.com/sports.
Catch all your local high school football action right here on HBC.
Brought to you by Lewiston Auto.
HBC Sports, your home for high school football.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
Get an inside look at the Winona State University football program with the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25, brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. Join me, Justin Barrientos, as I sit down with the Warrior head coach each week to break down last week's game and look ahead to WSU's next opponent, as well as chat with Winona State players. Tune in at 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, and before every Warrior home game for the Tom Sawyer Show on HBC TV 25, brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. The Tom Sawyer Show is brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. They're the place to go for an express lunch. 7 days a week from 11 till 3, authentic and delicious El Patron. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. Time to go to offense. Cameron Johnson joins us. And Coach, introduce us to your senior wide receiver.
Well, Cam, thanks for being here. This is Springfield, Missouri Day in Glendale High School with Austin and you both coming. So tell us how you got here and how much influence did Austin and his family have on you?
Well, I didn't start playing football until my junior year. And Coach Offer, I still call him Coach, but Scott Offer, he was our outside linebackers coach, and Austin was a senior at the time. And prior to my junior year, Coach had always been telling me, oh, come on, man, we got to get you to play football, man, got to get you. And I finally gave in my junior year, and turned out to be pretty good at it, and it was working out for me. And Austin had gone to Winona State that year, and I came up for a visit. Loved it, it felt like home to me right away. Just instantly when I got out of the car against Concordia on homecoming that day, just felt like it was the right place for me to be. And, Coach Offer, he's provided so much guidance throughout my life and throughout my college career, and I could say I wouldn't be here without him or the Offer family as a whole.
There's another guy, Kinjo Omar, that's here too, so we got 3 guys on our campus. And then there's a guy that I see on our sideline hanging out with Scott, and that's your father. And all of a sudden he's there on game day. No matter where we are, there he is. And what's that mean to have somebody that's driving 9-10 hours up every weekend to watch you play?
My dad's been my biggest supporter, and I don't think I can ever put it into words what it means to me, because even when I was playing basketball, he was at every single game. He was either on the sideline or he was pretty close to the sideline. So even in football too, he's just been there every step of the way with me, and I could never thank him enough.
Cool. So you said you hadn't played football until your junior year. You played basketball before that. Was basketball the dream then for you? Is that what you thought you'd get into?
Yeah, initially, and then I quit growing. I got to about 6'3", and everybody I was playing against was about getting to 6'6", 6'7", and I realized that wasn't necessarily a completely realistic goal for me. But I fell in love with football my junior year, and I think I definitely made the right choice coming here.
Now, I understand you have another Winona State connection as well. Rayon Simmons, who is a standout running back here, also helped you get to Winona State. What's the connection between you and Rayon?
Ray's just he was a great role model from the day I got in here. He always told me, I'm not the most vocal guy. And I own that. But Rayon just told me, lead through your actions, lead by how you play. And that was like the biggest thing I took away from him, because, he came out every single Saturday and brought it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about being a captain for this year, because that was one of the things we talked about with Jack Nelson too, is that he had to learn how to become a more vocal kind of person, taking over one of the captain's roles. Is that something that you felt that you had to do as well, as be a little bit more vocal to the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, definitely. And Jack and I have talked about that as well, and we're both kind of reserved guys. We don't talk very much, but we both kind of taken on that role and stepped into that leadership role, being a more vocal guy, being the guy to kind of get the offense going and everything. But just being picked as a captain for this team it's truly an honor, because everybody understands the level of excellence that we need to have day in and day out to beat the Mankato's, beat the Sioux Falls, and beat Minnesota Duluth, who we have coming up this week. And just being picked as a captain, it's truly an honor, and it's humbling as well. And I just hope I can continue to lead this team in the right direction.
Playing receiver for us right now, you really have a dual role. One role is catch touchdowns and big plays like you did last Saturday. But the other one is kind of the changing of the guard with the receivers. We've got a lot of young receivers. We talked about Jake Blue, and we talked about a couple other guys along the way, Joel Hinkey, and some of these guys that, with Alan May gone and Josh Mikas gone, you become really not only the player but also kind of a coach on the side. How are you handling that dual role?
It helps me out, because explaining things to them helps me gain a better understanding of the game and better understanding of my assignments. But I've just kind of learned that everybody learns in their own way. Everybody has their own style of how they play. Everybody's different. So I just, I watch them on film, and I just try and give them as many tips as I possibly can to make them better players, because bringing them along with me is just going to help the team. Because, we only can't play with one receiver out there. You need 2 or 3 out there, so it makes it easier on me, but it also makes it easier on them, having somebody that they can go to and ask questions.
Okay. We have just about a minute left. Because you guys had such a big lead against Minnesota Crookston, you got to sit for some of the second half. What was that like to be ready to play, but you're sitting because the score is so big?
Coach pulled me out on, I think it was our first or second drive in the game, and I was trying to go back in to finish the drive, but it's definitely an adjustment you got to make, but you got to make sure you're on the sideline taking mental reps as well. And then when the younger guys come off the field, you give them tips, ask them what they saw, ask them how the defense reacted to whatever they were doing. And just also like being a good leader. That's part of being a good leader when those guys come off the field.
All right.
Last question I have for you is, how excited are you to get up to Molosky Field up in Duluth?
Oh, I'm ready to go. I could not be more ready to go up there. We haven't beaten Duluth since I've been here, and my goal is to beat every team we've played in the conference through my career here, and I think we're ready to go for Duluth. And it's just about going out there executing as an offense and winning one-on-one battles, because on the outside they're going to play a lot of one-on-one, hopefully, and it's just about beating the guy across from you every single play.
All right, well, Cameron, thank you for joining us, and good luck against Duluth.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Tom Sawyer Show. When we come back, we'll talk about that game against Duluth coming up right after this. All right, thank you.
Integrate your business communications services with HBC. You'll be connected to the area's leader in internet and data solutions with speeds up to 1 gigabit, not to mention the most customizable and reliable telephone network in the area. Your customers and guests will enjoy crystal clear video and audio throughout your business. HBC Professional Solutions customers receive consulting and IT support, conferencing solutions, fast reliable cloud service, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference today.
Flea Market Flip is back. Better than ever. $500, 1 hour. Go shop. Run.
We're definitely going to win.
Yeah, we're definitely going to win. It's all about finding, fixing, and flipping. The winner 5,000 bucks. That's a lot of money at a flea market.
I know, money.
I think this will sell in a heartbeat.
This is one of the most unique things we've ever done on Flea Market Flip.
Sweet.
Flea Market Flip, Sunday at 8 on Great American Country.
This is HBC Job Finder. Looking for a great job starting at $14 an hour or bored with retirement? First Student needs drivers now for the 2016-17 school year and for sports and after-school activities. No experience necessary, full training provided at no cost. Flexible shifts and available benefits make this a great part-time job. School starts September 6, so apply online or call 507-961-2176. For more information on this job and others, log on to jobs.hbci.com.
The Tom Sawyer Show is brought to you by El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina. El Patron has the best Mexican food in town, authentic and delicious El Patron. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. Let's talk a little bit about what we're kind of talking about with Cameron Johnson, the fact that you had Rayon Simmons and Scott Opfer both kind of getting him to Winona State. What is that like for you as a coach to understand that you have a legacy here at Winona State and all the guys that you had coached before are now helping to bring players into the program? Well, obviously for a long time because you've been here for a long time, but to have those players come in because of players that you had coached in the prep.
It's amazing. It really is. It makes you feel good. I'm a Winona State guy. It's all I've ever known as far as college football or sports, and my whole family's all about it. And Tommy's the only one who went here, but they're always here too. So it's become part of our family's life for all 30 years. And and now you see the players that I've had who now are sending us their sons or kids from their communities. You talk about Jack Nelson. There's two former players up there that are coaching. You talk about Jarrett Wood. His high school coach played for me and then taught with me for a little bit. So those connections, you start building that out, and you see the Division I guys and their trees, and you think about that. Especially in the off season, you go, wow, look at this. Or Saturday when I send a text out to about 40 different guys, that are out coaching in college football around the country, and just say good luck. And we're all doing the same thing, but all representing Winona every chance we can. It feels pretty good.
All right, Minnesota Duluth coming up this week. Obviously, a couple years ago you had them, and unfortunately you lost. Is that a motivating factor in this game, or is this just this year, this time, let's go get them in Duluth?
Well, it's more about this year, this time. There's different players on both teams. College football, changes a lot year to year, but with the game we lost at home a couple years ago, that was heartbreaking that day. I thought we played very well up until that moment. But at the same time, they did some things that they probably didn't like either. But Coach Weezy does a nice job up there. They got a great program. We know a lot of their players. We recruit a lot of the same kids. But at the same time, it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity for us to get back on the map, get back in the mix. Working against that North Division before we come back into the South, which is nasty. And here's Southwest beats Duluth at Southwest. They'll be ready. They're going to be hungry and angry and all that kind of stuff. We just got to weather the storm and go make big plays and take care of the football, and we'll be just fine.
You kind of alluded to this earlier, but obviously we talked before, when you have an away game, you take less players, 20, 30, maybe less players. Did anybody in that second half against Minnesota Crookston play themselves onto the bus for this week?
Well, they're playing themselves onto the bus. We still have 3 practices yet this week, and we practiced twice over the weekend. So, we got a lot of work. We have about 5 kids that are on the bubble right now that will probably only take 2 of them. And then, are we going to take one more offensive lineman or one more fullback or a running back, or, well, because he played so great on the special teams, maybe that trumps that. And so we're having those discussions every day. And so practice along with that game are big factors for those kids to get a chance to get on the bus and roll up to Duluth.
I want to ask a little bit about injuries, because I know that we saw a couple guys come off. Joel Hinkey was one of them. We had talked about him coming into last week's game. How is he doing, and what was his injury?
Yeah, he's doing well. He got popped in the ribs, so it kind of knocked the breath out of him a little bit. You get hit in the side, and as long as it wasn't his spleen or kidneys or something, he's fine. There's no fracture or anything. So he practiced yesterday, so he'll be back out again today. But that was it. Everybody else is in practice and ready to go. So that's been our goal, is to have a full squad, and going into Duluth, we'll be 100% healthy.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck in Duluth.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for joining us here for the Tom Sawyer Show. We'll see you next week here on HBC TV 25.